E. Rundick, I think is the name. Anyway, it's a question because he got confused today. I tried to return the CO2 Gans into the nanostate, black, using white wine vinegar. To my surprise, the CO2 Gans dissolved totally. What happened? I thought the Gans cannot be dissolved at all. I also tried the blue CuO Gans, and the result was the same, everything gone.
Okay, I'll tell you why you get that. You don't have a CO2 Gans. You have a nickel oxide.
Or you mean zinc oxide, perhaps?
Yeah. You have wired your system the wrong way. When your current or your salt solution is not the correct way, you find out you produce nickel oxide and not a Gans material. Nickel oxide is a metal.
Do you mean zinc oxide, Mr. Keshe, or nickel oxide?
Pardon?
You mean zinc oxide, I think. Okay, just to be clear, thank you.
Yeah. So what it is, we know this for a long time, and some of the time when you have a lot of white stuff, and then when you add vinegar, you don't get that many black stuff, which means you have created, what do you call it, nickel oxide. This happened...
Zinc.
Stop the process, zinc oxide, sorry, yeah. To stop this process, the new CO2 kits which are coming out of China, I've just seen a prototype, you might see one very shortly, is that because you put your material like this, a nano coated there and a zinc there, sometimes the current flow creates plating condition and you create a zinc oxide. The new systems have a facility that the plates sit outside. Whatever you produce is only CO2. We've taken this factor out. I hope Armand will bring a sample with him that we can see. So we know this with the Italian Nuclear Center. When we did this, it came out. We had to understand it. Tests show nickel oxide. But if you bring the condition that only you deal with a magnetic field of the plasma, then you only create CO2 and you see different kind of pattern. But if you put your plates inside, which most of you do, if the current flow is above certain level according to your salinity, you find out the what you call it, nickel oxide takes priority and the condition for the CO2 is not getting created. So when you put the vinegar in it, you see it disappearing because it's a metal state. It's very much when you have a calcium in your pipes, in your shower, in your head, it just dissolves it.
I think you also mentioned calcium in, it could be in people's water that they use as well, and that could show up, and that could be calcium Gans instead.
It appears at CaCO3. We know this. We've got a full report on this, and we use part of this property at the moment in Fukushima because the Japanese water has huge content of calcium, and it allows us to function, to link up the calcium that doesn't clog up the system. If you look at the reports from Fukushima, they have built a huge plant that the gas has to go, what do you call it, the radioactive material has to go through it, and all has come to a halt. Millions of dollars of investment because of the high level of the calcium. The process which we have slightly adopted for the Fukushima allows this calcium to get out of the water. That allows the second part of the radiation process to absorb the radioactive material from the water. We know this with our work with the Italian Nuclear Center and with our work with the Fukushima scientists in TEPCO. So, this should be resolved. So,
thank you.
Put it in. If the field strength is strong enough, and then you'll find out when you do the plates outside, you say, I get no CO2. Then you have to start playing with your salt salinity.
Right. I was going to ask Mr. Keshe, what I know it was recommended at one point up to 20 and 25%, but I think now the recommendation is more around 10% for most experiments. Is that true?
It all depends on what kind of water you use. If you have a lot of calcium, some waters have zinc in them, some waters have gold in them. It's the resistance which is created in the transformation of the field. Because if you have gold content, even in 10%, then it's like cancer. It absorbs, because of its gravitational magnetic field strength, absorbs most of the energy. You never need to produce CO2. If you produce CO2 in a container inside, you might get, let's say, 10,000 nano. If you produce this way and you produce 1 million, is guaranteed. Because it's only in the condition of gravitational magnetic field of the nanomaterial. It's a very simple process, but the new systems coming out are I think it's 6 volts like this. And you have an option. If you want to make like copper oxide, you put your copper inside because you need the material to convert. If you want to create CO2, you put your zinc and your copper outside the box. So because for different technologies, different applications, you want different gases, the new sets which is getting manufactured in the next 30 to 60 days, Sohail can tell us, is it's done this way, because I've seen the prototype. I was talking to Ahmed and Sohail a couple of days ago. They showed it to me online. Then it depends what you want. You change the parameters, or you create a new condition where you put nickel and copper, copper and nickel, inside, outside. Then you get a combination. You have a nickel oxide, you have a zinc oxide here, you have copper here, you have iron there. So you start playing, producing new kind of gas materials, which is extension to the knowledge, and it will allow more and more to be created at a point of need. You can change it. Here you create, let's say, gravitational field of zinc. Here you create gravitational field of another material.